welcome to the April 2019 video edition of the Iowa General Fund Monthly Revenue Memo. My name is Jeff Robinson, Senior Fiscal Analyst for the Iowa Legislative Services Agency, the nonpartisan support agency of the Iowa Legislature. April 30 is the due date for quarterly tax returns for a number of tax types, the two most significant of these being individual income withholding tax and sales tax. With a due date of April 30, deposits for these two tax types begin on that date, or on the first working day after April 30 if April 30 is on a weekend, and those deposits generally continue for an additional 3 processing days. This due date situation means that when quarterly returns are due, the first few days of the next month are some of the most important receipts days of the year. For the month of May, for instance, 25 to 30% of the month's gross revenue deposits occur over the first 3 processing days of May. To include the impact of these large withholding and sales tax deposits, the following discussion is based on net general fund revenue through May 3rd. This chart shows Iowa net general fund revenue through May 3rd of 2018 and 2019. Revenue growth has totaled $351 million on a fiscal year basis, representing 6.2% year-to-date growth. The most recent Revenue Estimating Conference estimate for revenue growth for the entire fiscal year is 4.7%, so the rate of growth is running 1.5 percentage points ahead of projections. Looked at another way, the Revenue Estimating Conference projection for dollar growth for the entire fiscal year 2019 is about $350 million, a growth amount that has already been reached by May 3rd. Any positive growth that occurs in May and June and during the hold open accrual period will result in fiscal year 2019 ending that much above revenue projections. Almost every fiscal year produces positive net revenue growth after May 3rd, and this year should be expected to be no different. As has been discussed in early monthly video memos, fiscal year 2019 is operating under different influences than any other fiscal year, and the impact and timing of those influences have been hard to predict. First, the state has likely not finished issuing individual income tax refunds for timely filed tax year 2018 tax returns. Prior to the spring of 2017, Iowa always issued the majority of income tax refunds by the end of April, and that refund pattern is depicted as the black fiscal year 2016 line on this chart. Last year, 2018, is depicted in red. The pattern now shows significant tax refunds issued through the 3rd week of May. This year, depicted in blue, shows that there are likely significant individual income tax refunds to be issued for tax year 18, and at this point the final dollar total for the tax year could be above or below last year's total. This is a significant unknown when evaluating how solid the current 6.2% net revenue growth really is. The second and third fiscal year variables relate to income and sales tax changes made during the 2018 legislative session that began to significantly change the revenue stream beginning this past January. Iowa lowered individual income tax rates beginning calendar year 2019, and the changes to withholding tax tables made to implement the lower rates would first impact the general fund revenue stream on January 25, 2019. This chart shows the growth total for withholding tax deposits on a 365-day moving basis. The red arrow highlights the start of the impact of the Iowa income tax rate reduction. The run-up in growth to the red arrow is the result of federal tax reductions that, due to Iowa's deductibility of federal income taxes paid, resulted in a state income tax increase. Iowa's income tax reduction will slow annual growth in withholding tax deposits through June 30th and beyond. And finally, Iowa effectively expanded the sales and use tax base by requiring out-of-state retailers to collect and remit sales tax on purchases made by Iowa residents. This change also began to result in additional sales and use tax revenue beginning with the January 25th due date for sales tax. This chart shows the revenue growth total for sales and use tax on a 365-day moving basis. The red arrow highlights the start of the impact of the tax base expansion. 3 months into the tax base expansion, the annual growth in sales and use tax deposits has not accelerated as expected, and in fact, growth rate has declined somewhat. In summary, net revenue growth through May 3rd is up 6.2%, and that rate of growth is above the projected 4.7% growth rate for the entire fiscal year. While this does make it likely that fiscal year 2019 revenue will finish above projections, the the year does have 3 significant revenue comparison differences to contend with before the accounting books are closed. Tax processing and refund issuance for all timely filed Tax Year 18 tax returns should be completed in the next 2 weeks, and that will remove the major source of uncertainty. Goodbye, thank you, and please check out the next monthly video memo in early June.